York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
That's what's up. What's going on? This is Jay Ellis from the Knick of Time Show. Here to give you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time. And guess what, fellas? The Knicks bounce back after losing to the Utah Jazz and beat a tough Nuggets team 145 to 118. And the Knicks got some contributions from multiple places. OG Anunoby. This man came here and balled out with a career night. OG Anunoby gives you a career high 40 points, 4 assists, 5 rebound night with 5 of 7 from 3. Okay, Karl-Anthony Towns, he just has a little ho-hum 30 point, 15 assists, 3 steal game. That's it. Jalen Brunson, he was kind of casual. He gave you 23 points today, but gave you 17 assists, career high as well. Come on. Campaign chipped in with 11 points and 5 assists. McBride gave you 13 points, 3 assists, and 6 rebounds. Josh Hart gave you 12 points. The Knicks set a franchise record and gave you 45 assists on the night. They scored 145 points in the game, and no family. No KOT fam. That was not an overtime score. 145 points in regulation. Knicks are clicking on all cylinders on offense. We're doing very well on defense. And we have a historic win with multiple career bests on the same team. Gotta clap it up for these Knicks who bounced back after a horrible Utah game. I expected them to do so. I expected them to do so just like how we bounced back against the Celtics. Did I expect us to win? I'm not sure, but I love the way this team is playing as of today, and I love the way it's bounced back. And this game lets me know it is possible to play defense with this team in the starting 5. All right, and we just need that consistent effort moving forward. And we're going to get into the details of the game. But before we get into the details of this game, I want to introduce you to my guy, the Latin assassin, Lee Escobedo. What's going on, Lee?
Double blessings, homie. Good to be talking Knicks after a wonderful win. Maybe the best win of the season. The Nuggets are not firing on all cylinders. They've had an up and down start. I think they will get it together, but they've looked pretty bad defensively, and they struggle to have any type of production from their bench outside of a very lucky Russell Westbrook three-point shooting barrage. This was a solid win, but there's one thing I've learned from Ryan. It's never get too up and never get too down. So I am taking even the bad losses, like the one that you covered on Saturday to Utah, the same way that I'm taking the wins against Denver in terms of in the win and loss category. But there are outlier themes that I'm looking at that are both troubling and really fascinating. I'm sure we will get to all of them, but the one that I'm most excited about is OG Anunoby. And I wanted to start the pod with a question for you, Jay. You've been probably the highest of all of us on OG. You were the first one I heard that made the comparison to Kawhi Leonard. Do you think it's possible for OG Anunoby to become a NBA star?
I feel like right now I'm going to borrow a quote from Ebony. Shout out to our sister Ebony. He is starring in his role. And right now, he's playing within the offense. He's getting his buckets he's getting fast break buckets. He's cutting phenomenally. If you turn your head and he sees the back of your head, it's 2 points easily. It's extremely easy. He's hitting the mid-range and he's hitting every open 3 imaginable. He's not missing. And he's been even more aggressive this season than last season. So for me, I define Star as a guy who you can throw the ball to and say, make something happen. He's done that in spots. I started calling him Little Baby Kawhi because he was able to do that in the mid-range a lot last year. This year, I feel like he's done it a couple of times, but I feel like a lot of his offense is just through the flow of the game. Just, hey, Brunson and Cat getting a lot of attention. I'm getting in the dunker spot and I'm posting small people. I'm shooting hooks. I feel like everything's in this flow of the game with him. And to me, a star is somebody who can be the the first option, the creator. If so, I don't really see him as a star because I don't know. I'm not sure from what I've seen if he can handle the responsibilities of being the first option and running a team and having a high usage rate. Is it possible? It can always be possible because sometimes when players get more leeway, you really find out what you can do. And I always use the James Harden comparison all the time. When he was with OKC, he was the sixth man. When he got to Houston, all of a sudden he's MVP caliber. So can it happen for somebody like OG? Possibly. Do I see that right now? Not really, because he's not a high usage player to me. But is he playing at an all-star level where he can go to an all-star game? Absolutely. Is he the best two-way player in the game right now? Looking like it. Looking like it to me. I don't see Kawhi playing on the floor. I see Paul George injured. So star, I'm not sure. All-star, hell yeah. Impact player, starring in his role to the best of his ability today, absolutely.
I started out disagreeing with your take, and as you got more in detail, I saw how you were laying the plane, and I agree 100% with everything you said. I think he has a Chris Middleton level ceiling. I don't think he can be the mid-range shooter. Maybe he can, but Middleton was high volume in the mid-range, but I think he can be a better defender. He is all NBA first team defense, and he's not someone who's having like an aberration season like maybe DeJounte Murray did when he won or when he was awarded. This is like who he is, but you're finally seeing him healthy and you're finally seeing him in a defensive system of Tibbs that fully exploits all of his ability, both physically and mentally on the court. He covers so much ground. He has such good instincts on when to switch over and pick up somebody different off of a ball screen. I don't watch it. I watch a lot of NBA. I don't watch anyone else with his skill set. It's very unique. I agree. All-star for sure. I think if we were to win the championship this season, there's a case that we could see a 2015 Andre Iguodala type Finals MVP in him, just because of the type of chaos that he creates. The fact that we know he would be guarding the best player at every position. If we're playing Atlanta, he's guarding Trae Young. If we're playing Philly, he's guarding Embiid. If we're playing Milwaukee, he's guarding Giannis. If we're playing Boston, he's guarding everybody. It doesn't matter what kind of player it is, what kind of playing style. If it's an off-ball option that runs a lot off screens, or an on-ball option where he has to guard the point of attack, or a post or an elbow, it don't matter. He can guard and shut down everybody. I think he could be a Finals MVP. He's absolutely the type of player you need as a glue piece. I mentioned too in Iguodala and Chris Middleton. I think he could be the third option on a championship level team. And we're really seeing not more of his bad. He's not doing really anything new, but it's a higher volume with more confidence. And his efficiency, I think I would call him the most efficient player on this team. And he might be the most efficient player I've ever seen wearing its jersey in my entire 20 years of fandom. He is highly, highly efficient. Doesn't shoot a whole lot of threes, but when he does, he is the most guaranteed three ball since Dante DiVincenzo. And it's great because I never fear about losing the lead as long as he's in there, because he might be the best bailout option in the NBA. Really impressed with him. Way more impressed I am with the other half of Wingstop, which I'm sure we would talk about at some point in this pod.
Yeah, listen, I was looking at OG Anunoby's cleaning the stat numbers, and it kind of checks out what you're saying, right? Like, he's playing well. He's not necessarily shooting better than his career numbers per se. He's just shooting a higher value. That kind of checks out when you look at the numbers. The only thing, I'm sorry for you guys watching on TikTok, I'm kind of adjusting it on the fly for you guys so you can see a little bit better. The only thing that I noticed that has taken a leap, and we started to actually see this when he was traded on the Knicks, is the mid-range game has come from being below average to average in the mid-range. He's shooting 50% from the mid-range this season so far. But you can see that jump coming since last season. But yeah, I agree with you. The aggressiveness for sure is there, and the confidence is there. I really saw last year when we played the Pacers in the playoffs, and he was leading the team. He had like 28 points, then he got injured. That's when it
And
started to really pop. And I think mentally,
yep.
that's probably when it clicked for him that, yo, I'm more than I knew this was in me, but now I'm doing it during the game, and I'm going to carry this momentum over into the season. And so far this season, that's exactly what he's done. And he's been our most consistent player, maybe arguably our most important player, and
Yes.
a big reason why we won this game today. Because even his defense, like the way Josh Hart and OG Anunoby were hedging, helping out Cat when he was getting posted by Jokic was like incredible timing, disruptive. It kind of goes into why he's a defensive player of the year candidate. Even having to guard Jokic at stretches, it would look really good. OG, like I love having that kid. I hated trading RJ and IQ, but I loved what we got back.
Yeah, he also had to factor in Precious Achua into that deal as well, which takes it to a whole nother level. I think there's an argument that right now that Dave DeBusschere, 1968 trade to bring him to New York from the Detroit Pistons is the greatest net trade in NBA in franchise history because the next year we won the NBA championship. Right now, Karl-Anthony Towns to me and OG Anunoby are tied for number two. Every day it was back and forth on which one I think is the best trade in a modern era or since the Busher, which is 68, long time. Because most of our great players we acquired through either free agency or draft, there haven't been a whole lot of trades. And when we do, we typically got fleeced. Even the Melo trade, we got fleeced because we gave too many draft picks and our entire young core. So these two guys are really the anchors of our offense and our defense. And we have two of the best top 40 players in the NBA with OG. And to me, a top right now, I think Cat's playing top 10 in the NBA. I think he's been the second best center after Joker. Joker's my MVP candidate right now, but right after him is Karl-Anthony Towns. He's having an MVP candidacy himself, and you can't have an MVP candidacy without being at least top 10. You can even argue top 5 if you're a super fan, but I don't know if I would go that far. But man, OG, he really takes us to another level. I've never seen a Knicks team like this. We're currently 0.04% behind Cleveland as the best offensive team in the NBA.
Woo!
And what's really scary about that is Cleveland is firing on all cylinders right now. They're getting major production at the 3 spot. They're finally shooters like Nain and Strus are finally hitting shots. Evan Mobley's taking a step offensively. They're really dynamic in the pick and roll with Garland and Jared Allen. Donovan Mitchell is having also first team All NBA season. They are hitting the full ceiling.
Yeah.
We are not. And we are all at 0.4% away from being first. Once we finally start hitting, and that comes from 2 words, Mikal Bridges.
Yes.
Once that happens, I think we're going to be one of the greatest offensive teams in NBA history.
Yeah,
Think about that.
Nah,
Statistically and realistically, very, very possible. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that this team is a championship level team once the defense hits right.
yeah, because like there's one thing to me that I didn't really quantify for, and that's Josh Hart. Like, I might want to show y'all some other stats on freaking Clean the Glass. Because if I told you that this season Josh Hart would be shooting better than Mikal Bridges, you would think I'm lying. But that's exactly what's happening right now. Josh Hart at this moment is more reliable from 3 than Mikal Bridges. And I don't know what's happening on this road trip. Even the corner 3 that was supposed to be money for Mikal Bridges has gone away from him. So now he's missing the corner 3. He's missing the fadeaways. And it seems like he's just been, it doesn't look like he's losing confidence because he's still shooting. It looks like he's shooting with confidence. It looks like he's stepping into his shots. It looks like they're still intentionally feeding him the ball. But something is still going on mentally upstairs where he's missing a lot of shots that he's used to making. And you're right. To not account for Josh Hart playing as well as he is on offense and Mikal dipping, it makes it very possible that we can be the number 1 offense in the NBA once Mikal Bridges just kind of wakes up.
I've tried real hard this season not to go all out the window one way or the other, hyper positive or hyper negative. I go out the window when it comes to predictions, but not in terms of the eye test. And I don't like to rely too much on analytics either. I factor them in, but I rely more on my eye. And Mikal Bridges, I understand the trade that I think in Leon's mind, he was like, okay, 5 firsts, but you also have to factor in that I didn't give up any first to acquire Jalen. I didn't give up any first to acquire Cat, not Knicks first. It was a protected other team. And I gave up no first to acquire OG. So I think in his mind, he was like, these 5 picks are accounting for that group of players. That's a draft capital that factors into having all those guys on a team rather than seeing it as a 1-for-1 between those 5 picks and Bodie from Mikal Bridges. But that's not how it went down. It was a trade where we gave up 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, thinking he was going to come here. And really, preseason, most people thought he was going to be the second, third option. No way did we imagine he would be the fifth option.
Yeah.
No way did we imagine that the corner three, one of the things he was the best at on volume last season, would completely disappear. And also tonight, I think he shot 4 of 8 outside of 3-point shots, which is a low. That shows a lack of confidence in the mid range and using the mid range once your 3 ball is gone. I believe he shot twice as many threes as he did 2 points, which means he was really trying to get that 3 ball going. Tibbs ran a lot of early action on the first 8 possessions.
Sure did.
He would do the first or second option in the play calling, and he botched them all. And a lot of those attempts turned into turnovers. Mikal has been the most frustrating player that I've watched since, man, I would say like third year RJ Barrett. I'm getting really fed up when I think about the trade in a silo as 5 picks and Bogdanovich and Mikal. I'm also admitting there's a larger context there, and we didn't give up picks for Brunson, Cat, and OG. But damn it, 5 firsts. That's the entire future mortgaging of our young capital. Not that I think these 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds were going to end up being lottery picks, but it's more about them as assets. Trading it for other pieces that couldn't be being complementary to improve our core and improve our starting five. We gave up and mortgaged that for one player, and that one player has been ass on offense and defense. Tonight, he wasn't the issue defensively because we were awesome as a team, and OG was MVP level defender. But throughout the season, we have been a piss poor team because of his incapability of fighting through screens, his reluctance to switch on defense, and his inability to guard the pick and roll. He, as both on ball and off ball, he's been horrible at guarding the point of attack for opposing teams, and it's led to teams really getting volume shots wide open on us from 3. It's also been a huge part of the lob problem as well, because the centers are having to clean up so much of his miscues and bad switches on defense that now the rim is being attacked and obliterated, which then opens up a 3-point line as well. He's also been entirely inconsistent when we try to run any type of legitimate action for him and allow Brunson to have a rest off ball. Brunson really hasn't had much opportunity to be a catch and shoot shooter, and he's still shooting this highest true percentage, which goes to show how awesome he is. Imagine what could happen if Bridges was being able to be trusted on ball with the second unit, and Brunson could actually sit and rest. Hopefully, we know in the second half of the season, because we haven't seen it now, and my limits are being tested with how much patience I can have with him coming around with his shot, but most importantly, with his all-around damn defense.
You said a lot. I'll start here. I still have my Mikal chips. I have not cashed them in. I see the frustration. I see the Knicks Nation's frustration. I just seen his career thus far. So yeah, although it's frustrating, I still think he's in the right place to kind of eventually turn this around, because the team is still winning at a reasonable rate. They're still going to believe in him. They're still giving the ball. I have to trust that he's going to turn it around eventually. Has there been certain things disappointing? Yeah, the shooting has been disappointing. The defense has been confusing. I feel like the communication hasn't been all the way there with him and the defensive end. You've heard me say multiple times, when it comes to pick and roll defense, it's not just one person, it's 2 people. So I don't put the pick and roll defensive lapses entirely on him. Also, most of the time, he's tasked with guarding the NBA's best players. He's going to get cooked. That's just part of the gig when you're guarding the NBA's best players. As far as switching, that's Tibbs. That's a Tibbs scheme. That's a Tibbs scheme. We don't switch a lot. We still kind of play traditionally. Tibbs says he's playing to our strengths, and our strengths, OG strength is helping on defense and hedging. Today, that strength really helped us in the defeat of the Nuggets. Mikal's strength before he came to the Knicks was the way he played pick and roll defense, the way he was going to fight over screens to get skinny and still contain the ball. He hasn't really played that style in Brooklyn last year. I feel like they were doing more of a switching defense. So I don't know if it's a rusting or he's still just trying to get used to his timing with other guards or centers, but that's still a work in progress. I would still consider switching in certain points if I was Tibbs to get our defense from a number 23 defensive rating to a little bit higher, at least middle of the pack. Maybe when the 20 game mark hits, he'll look at it because that's usually what Tibbs says. After 20 games, he'll look at things again. But until then, I just hope things turn around for him eventually, especially the defense, and for sure.
The chat's good to me. Pittsburgh Timmy is definitely rallying him up to revolt against this take. But to me, it's not just it's low-hanging fruit when we lose to Utah and you attack Mikal Bridges' defense. I didn't see much better of an effort tonight, but it was a team steam that helped us blow them out and force a lot of turnovers. And we were really playing the deflection game tonight to great success. Especially Karl-Anthony Towns, who really surprised me. But Mikal Bridges, overall, I think it's important to criticize him thoroughly and consistently throughout the season because of the price that was paid for him. Again, I understand the context that you could say that it was for a group of players, but the trade itself was for him because we saw him as a final piece, and we were willing to mortgage all other flexibility to be able to improve the rosters on the margins or in the starting unit by giving up this 5 first-round picks, which just limit us now to swaps. I think he's going to turn it around. I agree, JLS. It's not too late for him to go back to his all-NBA first-team defensive form. I also agree that, I think 15 points, he's pretty efficient in the mid-range. If he does us that, we can still win a championship with him as a fifth option. I agree that there. Pick and roll defense is a team game. Also agree. Karl-Anthony Towns it's been well noted and documented on this podcast. Karl-Anthony Towns' defense, when he is trapped in pick and roll and the Knicks aren't able to do that pre-switch. We've talked about this. But Mikal Bridges has had a defensive identity and reputation for being able to be one of the best point of attack defenders, and the type of defenders that he is supposed to have been an expert at is exactly the type of archetype that has cooked us all season. So what I'm worried about is facing the Mavericks here next game with Kyrie Irving, a top 5 pick and roll point per possession player and an excellent mid-range shooter. That could end up being a loss on our calendar to a game that's missing their best player in Luka Doncic and should be a win to fortify your standings above 500. But I'm worried about that if we do lose that game, it's going to be because Mikal Bridges starts a game on Bridges and finishes a game on the bench because now Josh Hart has to take this spot or OG Anunoby takes your spot, taking them away from what they're great at, which is off-ball disruption and as a free safety and having to guard them straight up. And OG got cooked last year by Kyrie Irving. I saw it with my own 2 eyes live and in the flesh. So I'm just saying that Mikal Bridges, it's such a glaring deficiency on both sides of the ball. I just want better effort. I want a cleaner shot selection. And you got to at least have better communication and be willing to do the dirty work, dive for loose balls, whatever it might be, to help on the defensive side, because the Karl-Anthony Towns and Brunsons are already net negatives themselves.
I'll definitely say this. Well, the best point of attack defense of the game I've seen was Knicks versus Nuggets. He absolutely, when he held what's his name to 0 points, Halliburton. Also, I'm gonna just say, like, today he didn't shoot well, but the whole team played well. The defensive effort, to me, there's 2 things that comes to defense, right? There's effort and technique, right? I don't think he showed lack of effort today. Matter of fact, I feel like a lot of times, even when Mikal finds himself out of the play, he runs himself back into the play. And he's gotten a lot of, like, a couple of blocks from behind because he works himself back into the play. We've seen it against Brooklyn when he saved the game. Actually, we've seen it today. So, like, I do hear you when you say he hasn't been able to contain the point of attack guys. But, a lot of point of attack guys are one of the best offensive players in the NBA. Like today, he was guarding Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray was cooking him. Jamal Murray's cooking him. But he also blocked him behind him a few times. Could he have played better? defensively, yes, but it's also I still have to kind of remember it's still freaking Jamal Murray. It's a
Agreed.
catch-22 to me. It's not a catch-22. I don't expect him to hold every point of attack superstar to, zero, like 5 points, 40% shooting and 30 for three. Do I expect to see better than what I've been seeing for sure, but I don't expect to see that for sure. I just expect to see them get better defensively as time goes on, and I definitely expect the shot to come around for sure.
Well said. Yeah, I didn't feel like I needed to be talked off the ledge, but if I did, that was a pretty good attempt. I'm not jumping off the ledge either. I do think he will turn around, but I think we're wasting games that should be wins, either sizable wins or marginal wins. I've seen sometimes we're losing those, and the Utah game is a great example of that. And I think Dallas, it's looking like that might end up being an L2 just because of what I saw Kyrie Irving do to us last year and how well he's playing this year.
Kyrie hates us. He's always going to ball against us. Kyrie Irving will forever have a good game against the Knicks. I don't care if he has one bad leg. He's going to go crazy versus the Knicks.
And I also hate that the one game that Mikal Bridges played good defense was against Tyrese Halliburton, who's had a real bad season overall shooting, like just period. So even that one's not a great metric to look at as such a small sample size. This next game, I'm telling you, you're not going to shut down Kyrie Irving. No. But if you can hold him to under 30 points, because Luka will be out, under 30 on 43% shooting, I would consider that a successful night. So that's what I'm hoping for. The bar is fairly low.
No, I'm fine. And listen, Dallas always kills us. Kyrie always kills us. So I'm hoping for the same. Let's get to some comments though. Shout out to the TikTok comment, because we haven't really had a lot of comments TikTok. It says OG went crazy. Shout out to you, Atharv. Thank you for joining the channel, and hopefully you come and talk to us later and stay active in the chat. Also, I'm seeing some chats in YouTube as well. Coach Size says the added length of Mitch and Precious will help OG and Bridges. Yes, they will. They definitely for certainly will.
Agreed.
I still feel like we have to still remember, like, those guys are still bench players, so they can be playing like 15 to 20 minutes a game. The larger issue to me is still the starters. So I think the starters just have to get on board and get a lot better. So the bench players will definitely shore up the defense for sure. But the way Tom Thibodeau motivated the starters to come out today, in this game today, he has to replicate that in other games. I don't know what he said when they got their ass kicked in Utah, but he needs to replicate that speech and copy paste it, because I don't ever want to see what happened in Utah ever happen again. Because I'm telling you, Lee, that Wingstop name, I was tossing it in the trash when I saw that game versus Utah, for sure. It was pissing me off. But we won this game, so we're going to talk about this win some more. And we have a lot to talk about. I'm going back to my brother Jalen Brunson. I'm still relishing in the fact that this man was called selfish a year ago. I'm still relishing in that. I still remember trying to argue, like, man, if we had better players, you have more assists and he'd be more willing to pass. Me and you, Lee, have gone back and forth talking about the trust that he has in his players and his team right now. And it's obviously just shot up and taken off. And not only that, there was a hesitancy to score and pass the ball and find that balance the first, I would say, 10 or so games. That hesitancy is now completely freaking gone. He is freaking threading that needle, balancing scoring and passing, not even to Karl-Anthony Towns, who's a great passing target, but to OG Anunoby, even Mikal Bridges, who bricked a bunch of open threes, to Josh Hart. And he's dimed his way to a career high 17 assists. Not bad for a guy who's only supposed to be a scorer. Not bad for a guy who's only been running this team as the number 1A guy for a few years. Not bad. Not bad, man. Not bad for a ball hawk.
I actually think he's having a better season this season than last. The unbelievable juggernaut onslaught offensive performances are awesome. I prefer them in the playoffs. In the regular season, I care more about a higher assist to turnover rate and a higher assist ratio rate, which he has this season over last season. That to me means that he's not only trusting his teammates, but he's starting to develop chemistry so our offense can become even more dynamic when it comes playoff time, because we have guaranteed 6 or 7 sets we can run where the percentage is really high, both if Brunson takes it or he ends up passing it to the player that he's in a 2 or 3 man game with. And he's developing nice chemistry with Hart, with OG, and especially my main man, Karl-Anthony Towns. It's almost instinctive now. It reminds me a lot of Jason Williams and Chris Webber when they were in Sacramento. Like that type of give and go game with both
Yeah.
players three and both players are really high playmakers. And I think Cat is a way more intuitive player than even Chris Webber was. I made the correlation between Webber and Randall, where they tend to overthink their shot. Randall is just such touch and go, and that adds another wrinkle to the offense as well, because it's really impossible to guard him, because the tape is going to be different every time because of how quick he makes instincts off of the catch. It makes him a lot harder to guard and a lot harder to scheme for. And his size, I mean, he's basically plays with a 3 or a wing with a center's body. He's one of the most dynamic and interesting players in the NBA, and the most complete offensive player I've ever seen in orange and blue. That's 7 foot size and 7'3", 7'2" wingspan. I don't know how you guard him. And when you have a player like Jalen Brunson at the point, the pick and roll becomes unstoppable too. If only we could defend it on the other side. But sometimes you have to give up the defensive efficiencies to get the offensive onslaught that those two guys provide. It's nice too, but Brunson kind of take a step back as the scorer, and now OG steps up. You don't have to have Karl-Anthony Towns have to waste energy on offensive end. He can save it for really limiting Joker big time in the second and third quarters. So it's a beautiful thing. Jalen Brunson's really learning how to apply his IQ to the distribution side of the ball and not just scoring. And I think it's making him a more dynamic player and honestly a more prominent MVP candidate too.
Absolutely. If we keep having the number one offense in the league, I think we can keep our guys in the MVP conversation for sure. We just got to beat some good teams and keep beating these good teams. Also, to your point, Lee, talking about Jalen Brunson, what I noticed too? He's getting that national now. He's getting, Nash will probe you to death until he finds a scene to pass it to.
Yep.
Jalen Brunson is starting to do that, and it's getting more. When you have the cutters we have, Lee,
right,
and your point guard is now learning to probe on the fly and able to pass it on a dime. Cat's a prober in the cutter. Mikal's been cutting. Josh Hart, you already know that's his game. OG's been cutting his ass. Like it's making us extremely dangerous. Our offense is going to take off. I really can't wait to play these top tier teams like the Celtics and even the Cavs again, especially when we have Precious back in and Mitch back for sure.
Yeah, what's crazy is that even if you do a Nash comp, like Nash didn't have the bully ball dynamic of Brunson. He wasn't as adept at attacking the rim and being able to draw contact and still finish. He kind of avoided scoring around the rim and preferred the mid-range, where Jalen Brunson's also unbelievably efficient as a mid-range scorer. But Nash didn't play with players who dominate the dunker spot. To me, OG Anunoby, I tweeted, he's been top 3 in the dunker spot position this year in terms of efficiency and possibility to guard. He's drawing a lot of N1s in that spot as well. And Josh Hart is exceptional in the dunker spot too. So those are two things that really Nash didn't really have beyond Stoudemire. And Brunson has it too, which is going to open up the lanes and open up his playmaking ability when he's on ball. Bridges also excellent backdoor cutter. Josh Hart, excellent backdoor cutter. So we have all the pieces. I think Brunson is starting to be more trusted and also starting to trust himself more as being a playmaker out there and not relying so much on what's happening from the bench or being called from the bench, but him just making decisions on the fly and freestyle a little bit on the court, because he's starting to have a lot of trust and he's starting to have a lot of chemistry with the other 4 starters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cap 1291 says Brunson is a double machine for sure. I heard you. I see you. Felicia G says J. Ellis OG defends the best player, not Bridges. Bridges has been disappointing. OG defends the best player sometimes more of the wings. Mikal definitely defends more of the point of attack guys for sure. Like the shooting guards and the point guards that kind of usually the engines for the offense. He defends those guys. So I don't necessarily all the way disagree with you, but Mikal ends up guarding those guys. I see some more TikTok questions as well, so I'll get to that. I see you guys. I'll give you some love. Thank you guys for asking. It's good. I see more engagement in TikTok. This is what we're working for. This is what we're working for. All right. I see Athrav asks, can the Knicks really compete with the Celtics and the Cavs? I know the Knicks lost to the Cavs, but the Knicks, to me, were still kind of a new team figuring out when we played the Cavs. We still didn't have our offensive chemistry together. And I kind of feel like we really lost that game because of a stint in the third quarter when Jalen Brunson got hurt. That's when the Cavs kind of took over and won. And on the other side, Big Mitch is not playing yet. We all know Mitch owns the Cavs. Big Mitch has outplayed both of their bigs at the same time in the game. So when we talk, I know the Cavs are on the heater. They're clicking on cylinders. I'm really not worried about the Cavs. I'm not scared of them.
Agreed. Me neither.
It's the Celtics. It's all about the Celtics.
100%.
And can we beat the Celtics? Depends. I hope so. It depends on how we play. Our defense has to be what it was closer to today, closer to what was during the Pacers for us to beat the Celtics. Mikal Bridges has to wake up as well. If those two things happens, yes, I think we have a chance to beat the Celtics. But it's going to be a dogfight because the Celtics are a championship team, and I don't take them lightly. The Cavs, I'm not worried about yet, for sure. All right. Salute to the chat. Oh, and do you want to talk about anything? I feel like you definitely talked about Karl-Anthony Towns. Like it's funny. Like I feel like I really haven't talked about him enough. He had 31 and 15, bro. Like
I know.
He has 31 and 15 and he's third on the docket on like what we talking about. I almost feel like it's disrespectful to get to Karl-Anthony Towns at this point in the game, especially because I've been harping on his defense. And granted, Tibbs did an excellent job scheming to help him out defensively. But he gave you 3 steals. He was extremely active. He tried to block shots, even though it was a goaltend. For me, when I'm looking at Karl, it's all about our activity level. And It's all about the lack of fouling, especially in the important parts of the game. And I think he did a good job of being solid on defense today. The entire team did. Sorry, go ahead, Lee.
I definitely touched on it earlier. He's the greatest offensive weapon I've ever seen. And I watched Carmelo Anthony in his prime with New York, and I think Melo had a deeper bad, but Karl-Anthony Towns' physicality and size makes him a larger threat and a more dominating offensive force. And having him at the 5, it just creates so many mismatches because there's no center in the NBA really that can keep up with him in terms of his lateral movement or his ability to run the floor, with perhaps the exception of Derek Lively. He's his 3-ball too. It's been everything is advertised. But what wasn't advertised, and I didn't know a whole lot about, was how good of a teammate he was and how well he's fit in and how he's really connected with the culture here in New York, the chemistry on and off the court with Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. He really seems to be happy that he's back home. And I kind of the sense that he's fulfilling, in a way, his mom's like dream for him to play for the Knicks and to really represent the Dominican Republic and the Dominican Republic community, which is massive in New York City, and be able to rep them and play for them at Madison Square Garden, a team that he grew up rooting for. There's a very similar story there as Jalen Brunson, and I really like that. I like the connection to it, and I think it's one of the reasons why Leon wanted to get not only one of his former players that he represented, but someone who was born and raised in New York City or close to it in Jersey.
Absolutely. All good points. Salute to the chat too. Got to salute to the chat. Oh my bad, I hit the gunshots, but here we go. Salute to the chat. Knicks beat the Nuggets, man. After disappointing loss against Utah, the defense ratcheted it up, and we got that win. Next game is against the Dallas Mavericks. If you like the show so far, hit that like and subscribe. If you're on TikTok, also subscribe. TikTok too. If you have questions, you want to interact, I'll definitely read your stuff online, just like you guys on YouTube. I will read your stuff online as well. Super chats are welcomed. Donations are welcome. It helps keep the lights on. Helps keep these programs going. and it just helps support the stream. So, but thank you guys for the support, for sure. If you can't donate, definitely share and like, comment. It all helps us, and also hit the notification bell so you can be aware when we go live. And we're going to go live after every game. All right, that is the plan. Sometimes we don't. It's been a couple of hiccups this year, but for the most part, we're here after every game. All right. And shout out to Picks for Timmy. Campaign.
Oh yeah.
You did all right. What you think? What you think of campaign today, Lee?
Since I've watched, I'm trying to remember the team that I felt like he was just way the most. Maybe probably the Phoenix Suns. I really always appreciate his ability to come in and change the momentum of a game with his very funky 3-point shot. When it's on, he's the type of player the type of role player that would kill the Knicks. He's the type of guy that would go off for 20 on us and hit 5 out of 7 from a 3-point line. So happy he's on our team because he did that to us in the playoffs last year when he was 76ers and taught smack against Brunson. So I'm really happy he's in orange and blue now. I really like him. I have said it repeatedly on this podcast. He is better than 90% of the point guards the Knicks have had as a starter in the last 20 years.
That's not
hard. Right. Yeah. But it's impressive that that's our third string point guard. Some would say he should be the fourth string after Tyler Kolek, so that we have someone on the bench that's so talented on both sides of the ball. He's disruptive defensively as well. Love the attention to deflections that he gives. That kind of brings back some of that quality that Dante DiVincenzo had last year for us as a starter and off the bench. So I love it. Campaign does that. And when he hits a 3 above the break in transition, man, I'm like, oh, here comes a run. Love his cockiness. Love his moxie. Love his defense. He might be the ugliest player in the NBA, but he's also a dog. And you can't deny that. The boy's a dog. He might look like one, but he plays like one too.
There you go. Bruh. There you go. There you go, Picks. There you go, Picks. I didn't even do it. I didn't even do it this time, Picks. That was Lee did it. I just do it.
I've been a fan. I haven't been hating on campaign.
I know. I'm just poking at Timmy. I'm just poking. I'm just poking at Timmy. Nah, he did really well for us today. All jokes aside, as soon as he came in defensively, you felt his presence. He was extremely disruptive, and it seems like he's found his footing, and even more of a balance of when to pass, when to shoot. Ever since he's kind of gotten back into the lineup after being hurt. Almost feels like a little bit of a reset for him. And the 3-point shooting, as you said, has been good as well. Has hit some timely threes, some big threes, some momentum threes that keep us going in that one direction. So it was nice to see him back, and it was nice to see him back paired with McBride too, because McBride has been going for a while, and it took McBride a while to get going, but his shot came back, his defense is back, and now I feel like we kind of have our little bit of 1-2 punch off the bench again, because we've been struggling off the bench. And now it seems like we kind of have 2 players who can kind of score off the bench now instead of just relying on one for a while. So I think that's going to help us in the long run.
Love that. Totally agree. I like it when campaign is sharing the backcourt with McBride opposed to sharing it with Bridges or Josh Hart. I trust it more. I think they can go a little bit back and forth and switch off between who's on and who's off ball. And campaign, I actually like him better on ball playing at Deuce, because Deuce is just such an excellent catch and shoot 3-point shooter. So great to see Deuce back out there. Hope he has some healing in his knee, because him and Payne are very disruptive off the bench at the guard position.
I'm not going to let you keep killing Mikal. Hold on. Wait a minute, Lee. Mikal has had a bad West Coast trip, but there was some games when Brunson was on the bench, and I've definitely said that, damn, Mikal looks a lot more comfortable when Brunson is on the bench. True. And he's been able to cook in the mid range. So I know he's had a bad West Coast trip, but there has been games where he's let Brunson rest a little bit. He's just True. Having a bad stretch right now for sure.
That's fine. I'm not arguing with that. And before the last 3 or 4 games, that is a West Coast trip. His mid-range was very efficient.
Yeah.
It's fallen off since they've gone on the road and he's left MSG. Maybe it returns when they get back home. Who knows, feeding
Yeah,
off the energy. I'm just saying, I don't think Mikal Bridges is trusted right now leading the bench unit. I feel more confident when it's McBride and Campaign in the backcourt.
I'm not there yet. Like I still like matter of factly, you sent me a graphic the other day that talked about that broke down players' fadeaways. And Mikal Bridges, we always talked about how he looks like Durant out there. He was number one over Durant, over Luca, as far as efficiency when it came to fadeaways. Like I said, he's been trash during this West Coast trip. But there was two things that we were counting on before this West Coast trip was the corner three and that fadeaway was automatic. So I'm not completely out on him. That for sure still will come back. I need the above the break threes to kind of catch up. But yeah, he's been
My
bad, but
argument's not.
he
I'm not
had some
saying that
spots.
I'm not saying I'm out on him. I'm not saying
I
I'm
know,
not
I know, I know,
for
I know.
for any change in anything that Tibbs is doing revolving him. I just liked the bench being McBride and Payne in the backcourt and Bridges at the three, rather than it be Bridges at the one or Bridges at the two next to one of the guards, and he's still guarding the point of attack or still bringing the ball up initially in the offense. I prefer that bench unit as a backcourt and Bridges playing off ball on the wing. That's just me.
I heard you. I heard you. I heard you. Heard you. All right. That's my little Mikal Bridges Shields monologue that I'm giving you two guys today. But salute to the chat, yo. Salute to the chat. Salute to TikTok. Salute to YouTube. If you have comments, questions that you want me to read, I definitely will. So I want you guys to not, I don't want to just be our show. I want you guys to be part of the show as well. All right. That's the plan. So I love when you guys interact. And Timmy, you've been talking about bringing the Discord back. I will be bringing the Discord back. Don't worry. It's just a matter of time. So you guys can actually hop in online and actually physically talk to us during the audio. All right. So that's going to be the next phase of what we're going to be doing here at KOT for sure. All right. I think I've talked about everything that I was on my heart. Was keep up this defense. I think I saw a stat the other day. I could probably look it up real quick. That our starting five was in the 20th percentile as far as defense, which is pretty bad. Our starters need to get together and bring that up. So hopefully next game we're better defensively. We keep up the momentum offensively, and we punish them for not having Luka, and we get on a little win streak. Because every time, you know what? Every time we've come to these little tests on West Coast trips, and this is our longest West Coast trip with 5 games, we've always seemed to find our way. We did it last year, and it'll be nice to do it this year again to kind of set the tone for this Knicks team moving forward. So I'm looking forward to it. All right.
Yeah, shout out Jared Sims. Another good game defensively, another good game moving his feet. Very impressed with, I wouldn't call it a leap, but the baby steps that he took this past summer to just improve his awareness and get more comfortable in Tom Thibodeau's defensive scheme as at a higher usage rate and higher minutes per game. I think he's been playing really well in drop. Thought he did a good job on Nikola Jokic today. Yeah, I never blame or look at Sims as a reason for why we lost, but I always look at him for a reason why we won. Good minutes tonight.
Good minutes. Had a great block. I forgot who he blocked today, but a great block off the drive after that same player, that guy, who's it, Bear?
Williams?
What's his name? Yo, he's pretty good, man. The guy that kind of duped Brunson and scored on, got like an N1 on Brunson. Christian
Braun.
Yeah, Christian Braun. I said Brer. Christian Braun. Yeah.
Braun.
He blocked
kid.
Braun. It was a pretty damn good block. It has some other good defensive moments as well. Sims is solid, man. Sims is solid.
Yep. Impressed.
Like the kid. All right, roll call. I don't know if you guys are still here on TikTok, but shout out to you if you are still here rocking with the KOT show. If you're here, hit that subscribe button. We'll be here after every game talking Knicks basketball. Shout out to JMP, Cameron, Mozzie B, J Poetry, the Billion. Shout out to you. Shout out to Elijah Helmer. Shout out to the Policy Pundit. Shout out to B More. Shout out to Athrab, who gave us our first TikTok question. Shout out to Carter. Shout out to Ultra Magnum as well. Shout out to you guys who came through on TikTok. I'm not sure if you're still here, but if you're still here, shout out to you guys. Also, you and my guys on YouTube. Shout out to Picks for Timmy, Fritz Alessandro, Knicks Nation TV. Let's see. S. Parker, I see you. Felicia, I seen you. Capo 1291, I see you. Everybody's rock with the show. Definitely rock with you forever. All right. Let's get it. All right. Next game is against Dallas on Wednesday. Let's get that W. All right. So let's get to the last part of the show. Craig Ward, there you go. Craig Ward popped up. I see you, Craig. Let's get to the last part of the show. Do we have any ooh picks that you want to talk about for guys who don't know on TikTok land? Ooh picks are something that are great that you want to just point out and say, wow, this is amazing. This touched my heart. So you gotta hit that ooh button and let them know we feeling it. All right. Any ooh picks today for you, Lee?
Yes, I've been using this time to highlight players across the NBA that have been impressive or that have been underwhelming to start the season that aren't Knicks. Today's is also my key to the game for next game. Najee Marshall. Najee Marshall. Remember that name because after what is it, Thursday or Friday night's Knick game, every Knick fan is going to know his name. He's currently averaging 19 points per game this season on a 74% true shooting. So he's got the entire bag, but the three-point shot. You can't leave the left corner open. And one of the reasons that the Mavs have been so successful while Luka Doncic has been out with the wrist sprain is because Kyrie Irving has been playing a lot of off ball. And Jason Kidd is utilizing Marshall in that Draymond Green spot on the elbow, running the action, find cutters, getting in the pick and roll. So guard Marshall. I think OG should be on Marshall, limit him as a playmaker, force him to be a three-point shooter. And if we do that, we'll win the game because then Kyrie will have the ball in his hands and he'll have to do everything, both as a playmaker and as a scorer. Right now, he's allowed to keep his legs under him because he's not having to distribute. That's been Najee Marshall's job. So OG, guard Najee from the rip because the dude is an excellent playmaker, excellent passer. He's got a really high basketball IQ and gets a lot of second chance points too. Around the rim, offensive rebounds. He's really smart with knowing where the miss is going to be off of long threes. So just please guard Najee Marshall. He's been having a breakout season in his first year with the Mavs.
Heard you. I am about to give a bunch of ooh picks today for the Knicks, man. First of all, sharing is caring. The Knicks was moving that rock. I think we had like a season high 21 assists at halftime and 45 assists for the game franchise record. Gotta give it up for that. This team was in the bottom of the league for assists last season. And now we getting 30 assists all willy-nilly and the 45 assist game today. Do you realize if Mikal Bridges could shoot this season, we probably would have had a 50 assist. Like we would have had a 50 assist game. Like we would have had a 50 assist game if Mikal Bridges could shoot the way he usually shoots. But that's neither here nor there. Shout out to these Knicks for that. Also, OG Anunoby with the 40-piece chicken nugget. All right. Gotta give the ooh pick to OG Anunoby going inside, outside, mid-range, three-pointer, hedging, playing defense, being the most impactful, most effective, most dynamic two-way player in the NBA right now, OG Anunoby. I'm saying.
Talk about it, bro. All facts.
And while we on the trend of career night, Jalen freaking Brunson, 17 assists, career high. My chucker right there, Lee. That's my chucker right there. That's my ball hog right there, bro. Jalen freaking Brunson, the captain, putting it all together with the assists, with the shooting. Loving what I'm seeing. Let's get it. All right, I'm out of. Oh, wait. I got one more ooh. My last ooh. There was an out of bounds play that was kind of crazy. I think there was like 1 second left. And call timeout. I think campaign is on the baseline. Throws a lob to Cat. Cat kind of does like a catches in the end. There's like a touch floater for the and one.
Yep. Shout out Tibbs.
Yeah.
It's my boy Tibbs evolving.
Yeah. Yo, you know what I've wondered, Lee? Because we've always said that Jalen Brunson doesn't really know how to pass to centers. I really wonder what it's going to look like when Mitch gets back. Because not to say that Mitch definitely does not have the touch that Cat has, but Mitch has some flashes of a touch around the rim. So I kind of wonder what could happen if he gets some pocket passes rolling to the rim, if he can adjust. I kind of feel like that could be in Mitch's bag. But I'm curious to see if he's going to be trying to give Mitch similar passes, similar pocket patches on pick and roll opportunities. I'm looking forward to seeing if that happens or not.
Not just that, but the two-man, big man game between Cat and Mitch, mimicking what he had with Gobert. He was the highest percentage on lobs to Gobert when he was in Minnesota. The majority of them came from Cat. So I think Cat's going to be ready. I think Cat does want to get Mitch more involved on an offensive end, which would just gives him more space because of Mitch becoming a lob threat. I think that's a really smart move. I hope he does incorporate that. And, man, I got to give my boy Tibbs some props. I think Tibbs, he had a very successful summer. He was starring in his first TV show on HBO and The Penguin. I think he was getting a lot of baddies behind the scenes that were impressed that he got into the acting side, betraying the Penguin. So my main man, I think he's feeling himself a little bit. He's failing some new parts of his personality. And damn it, listen, we were a team that would always get laughed at for lacking out of bounds plays or being creative on sideline plays. Now we got a few in the bag, man. I love that not only was it successful, but he got an and one on it too. That was beautiful.
Do you really think Tibbs, our guy Tibbs, married to the game Tibbs, never leaves the office Tibbs, is going to not work because of baddies?
Bruh.
Tibbs is 100% dodging the baddies. All right, he's 100%. If the baddies come up to Tibbs after, Tibbs, I see you in the Penguin now. I love the way your head shining up. He's 100% mushing them in the face. It's like, excuse me, I gotta work on my offensive sets for tomorrow's game. Hussy. It definitely looks like the type to call a woman hussy because he wants to study game tape. All right. Get away my game tape, hussy.
You're probably right, man. You're probably right.
All right. Shout out to Tiz, man. Hardest working man in the game.
Yep, love that guy.
All
Good
right.
fan.
All right, man. Any book club stuff?
No. None today, but I do have the whole week off from work, so I'll definitely have something for next game after the Mavs. If we win. If we don't win, I'm going to be angry, short, and terse, and I'm not going to have any book recommendations. I'm just going to be effing pissed.
Heard you. Oh, man. Shout out to Fritz who asks in the chat, is the Knicks high-octane offense sustainable? 100% of y'all said yes. 100%.
Yep.
Knicks fans on the same accord. All right. I have no anime. I really haven't been watching any new anime lately. For sure. I keep hearing Arcane. Fritz definitely mentioned Arcane. Even people in my job have been saying Arcane, so I definitely gotta check that out. I just been watching the Dan on Netflix. But I'll check out Arcane for sure. All right. Well, that's the show, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I'm hyped, man. We got some viewers on TikTok. You got our first TikTok subscriber off of the live stream. I think the new layout, the new vertical friendly layout might have brought more people to the farm. I think it's working. Shout out to you guys on TikTok. And shout out to our regulars on YouTube. Tune in next post game on Wednesday versus Dallas, and hopefully you talk about the win. All right?
Hell yeah. Better.
For sure. That is the show. Thank you guys for watching. And as always,
shout out the worldwide west. Everywhere we go, we leave a worldwide mess.
It's a mess out here in these Knicks streets. That's the show. We out this mug. Peace.
New York, big city of dreams. New New York, big city of dreams.